Hi folks, in this video we're going to be talking about sleeping bags and what kind of sleeping bag you need to take on your overnight or multi-day hike. This is a super important one and you want to get it right because sleeping bags can last for ages, years and years and years. I've had this one since 2013. I have used it to death, and if you look after it well, then it should last for a long time. So they're not cheap, and that's why you want to get it right. So, first of all, and this is not a good example, this is not how I normally store my sleeping bag. When you have a down sleeping bag, and the first thing that I need to teach you is the difference between synthetic and down. So, down is basically duck feathers, and compared to synthetic, which is synthetic materials that are used to create warmth in your sleeping bag. I'm totally forgetting the word that I'm looking for, but essentially down is so much lighter than synthetic because, as I said, it's feathers. The feathers, there's different types of down, so you can have different qualities of down, and the higher the quality, the lighter the feather and the warmer. So the closer to the duck's body, I think it is the warmer and the more expensive down, which is why you can see sleeping bags that range up to like $1,000, and that's because they've got the highest quality down. It means that they're going to be lightweight and they're going to compress the most. And space in your backpack is at an optimum, so you always want to try and get a sleeping bag that's nice and small, but you also want something that's warm enough. So my recommendation is that you get a -7 sleeping bag. Now, -7 means that's sort of the temperature that you can still survive at. That's not the comfort temperature. If you were sleeping at -7 in a -7, you would be in trouble. I would say that a -7 is good to, I slept in this sleeping bag, I think, at about 5 degrees, and yeah, I was pretty chilly. Now, there are things that you can do, such as getting a water bottle that is like a Nalgene or something that you can put boiling hot water into that's not insulated, so that you can basically put it in your sleeping bag and it will radiate heat and keep you warm. So if you can't spend tons and tons of money on your sleeping bag, or you want something that's a bit, like good for everything, you can get a -7, and then if you are going into super, super cold temperatures, you can do the water bottle trick to give you that extra warmth when you need it. So this is a ULA -7. I bought it in 2013. I used it along the Pacific Crest Trail in the United States. It was amazing, and I was in like desert, snow, all sorts of stuff. I recommend -7 just because it's going to allow you to kind of do everything except winter camp, like in snow, like sleeping on snow and it being really cold. And yes, in the summer it is going to be hot, but you just zip it open and you kind of just deal with it. I would prefer to just have one sleeping bag because, as I said, they're not cheap. So yeah, the weight of a sleeping bag at a -7 rating for down is probably somewhere between 1 to 2 kilograms. The ultra light, I have a Western Mountaineering -7. It's an amazing bag. It compresses so much smaller than this little beauty, but it's, even back then on a pro deal, it was expensive, and I probably would hesitate to pay that much again. But if you have a bit of extra cash, it is something that is well worth investing in. Just make sure that when you store it, you store it in a big open bag that does not compress the down, because the down will be affected by compression. And yeah, you just want to basically have it nice and airy. A lot of people will just like hang them in their wardrobes over a coat hanger or something like that. That can be really good, as long as the down is not compressed. Now, synthetic sleeping bags are an advantage when you think you're going to get them super wet on your trip, because a synthetic bag will maintain its heat when it's wet, whereas a down bag, basically when a down bag gets wet, all of the feathers just clump together and it basically feels like there's no down in the bag at all anymore. So it will not give you any warmth. Now, a lot of people say, okay, a synthetic bag is good on like a kayaking trip or something like that. I disagree. I've done tons of kayaking trips, and my major priority is keeping my sleeping bag dry. I always carry it in a dry bag. This one that I got it out of is not a dry bag. See, this just has a little bungee cord, and that is really actually better as a clothing bag. You want something that has like a rubber seal that is actually, that folds over. Make sure that if you have a bag like this, you don't just do one flip, you do at least 3. Then it's actually going to keep it waterproof. So you want something like that for your sleeping bag. Yeah, and you just keep it dry. Like if it's pouring with rain, you never take your sleeping bag out until you're in your tent. And as long as your tent is waterproof, then it should never, I mean, yes, it will sometimes get wet because it will touch the side of your tent wall or something like that, but hopefully it's not going to get drenched. I have been in absolute pouring rain for 7 days straight, and my sleeping bag was fine because I made sure that I just did not get it wet and did not ever take it out of the tent unless it was in a dry bag. So yes, so all the arguments for synthetic in terms of getting them wet, it's great, and they're a wonderful like entry-level car camping kind of thing. But if you're backpacking, they're just too bulky and they're too heavy. So find yourself a nice lightweight down bag, rated to -7. Make sure you store it. It will last well. The other thing, so washing's annoying, and I've been a thru hiker, so I've lived in my sleeping bag for like 6 months at a time, and I just get it dirty, and that's just how it is. Some people will use like an inner sheet. I have one. I haven't used it on an actual backpacking trip yet, but you can use it like a really thin kind of like essentially like a sleeping bag shaped sheet that will keep your sleeping bag clean from you. It won't keep the outside clean, obviously, but it will keep the inside clean, and that will extend it so you don't have to wash it as much. When you do wash these, you have to wash them in a front loader washing machine and use a front loader dryer. You will need a dryer. You really will, because as I said before, when the down gets wet, it clumps all together. And in the dryer, it starts to help it flush out. So basically you want to use down wash. You can buy it at any good outdoor gear store or whatever. It's just like a little bottle, get one. It's worth the investment. Use that as soap. Don't use regular soaps. So use down wash, put it in your front loader washer, just do the sleeping bag on its own. Once it's done, throw it in the dryer. A good idea is to put some tennis balls or something in the dryer that will go around and help break up the down. So what I find is that like I put it in the dryer with the tennis balls, I take it out, I have to shake it about, it's still all clumpy, put it back in, it does its thing again, shake it about, it's still clumpy, and it goes on and on and on. So typically I only wash my bag like once a year, but it's fine. Honestly, I find that if I'm wearing like a long sleeve and leggings in my sleeping bag, I'm not really sweating in my sleeping bag, and usually it stays pretty clean, so I wouldn't stress too much about that. If you have any more questions on sleeping bags, please put them in the comments. I'm happy to answer that. I know this was a very quick tutorial, but please like and subscribe. I'm going to be making more videos like this to help you get into the outdoors safely and securely and independently and confidently. And yeah, looking forward to see you again soon.